guys, in this week's video, we are going to examine this very important thing, and that is, oh my God, if war breaks out between Ukraine and Russia, how will the stock market perform? How will your stock portfolio perform? How will your REITs portfolio perform? So, is it time to be scared, or for the opportunistic investors like us, is it actually time for you to get some very it's because, bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, for you to be able to make multifold of returns, you must be able to have the courage to buy, the patience to hold at the downside, and because you have actually downside, you will then have greater upside. So in today's video, essentially this is what you have there to find out. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you see, do smash the subscribe and notification button so that, and recommend a friend and send an email to us, gcpglobalsg@gmail.com. Recommend a friend with subscriber and then stand a chance to win a lucky prize at the end of each month. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, so this is exactly what you see. This is what you see, okay, in the last two wars that you actually see. So in the last 30 years, ladies and gentlemen, we actually had two wars. So the first one was actually during the first Gulf, okay, in 1990, and then the second one was actually on 2003, okay. So how did the market actually perform, ladies and gentlemen, at that time? So the best market proxy in this case is actually the S&P index. Okay, so when the first Gulf War actually broke out, that was in 2nd August 1990. Okay, as a matter of fact, this was one of the best learning periods for me, because when I started my career, in 1989, I was actually probably Singapore's youngest head of research. Then I went to work in Wall Street. Then I came back and hit institutional sales desk of a couple of stockbroking and investment houses. Before I retired way back in 2009. Okay, so let's go on today's video. You can see essentially that when war broke up, S&P index way back on 2nd August 1990 was 355.52. Now I remember at that time, when all hell broke loose, it was the first war for many of us, who actually had their career, because prior to that, it was in the 60s when you actually had the Vietnam War, and 70s, where you actually had the Korean War. Then back to the Gulf War. Okay, you can see that when Kuwait was invaded by Iraq, the S&P level index actually sold off, okay, to 295, or a fall of 60 points, or a loss of 70%. Now, bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, it's very important to know the time period. From 2nd August to 11th October, that took about 2.5 months. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, 2.5 months now, considering the fact that market reaction can be very timely and more time sensitive, this 2.5 months may now be constrained even further. Then what happened, so now you really do recall, this conflict then was known as Operation Desert Storm. That was the code name for the war by the US when it came in to actually rescue Kuwait from Iraq. Then the second Gulf War actually started. What happened? It actually coincided, and it was actually a delayed impact in 2003, more because of the 9/11 bombing in 2001. Okay, so the threaten and the threats, and it all came into a halt, when the US sent in their fighter forces into 2003 in March. Okay, at that time the S&P index was 895, and true enough, over that period, when the war was actually very much in vogue, you can see that S&P fell, but guess what? It did not fall as much as what was feared. It was only down 47 points, or a fall of only 5.31%. Oh my God! You're thinking, actually, the war actually did happen, considering the fact that S&P only fell like 5.31%. But more interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, is that if you look at that period in which it fell, hey, It's only from 21st of March 2003 to 31st of March 2003. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, only over 10 days. And mind you, 2003 period was a period when we had what? Yes, in addition to the war, we also were trying to fight SARS, right? Right. So in this case, yes, the market was sad, okay, but not as much. In fact, if anything, it was just a little cut. Okay. So this time around, ladies and gentlemen, are we going to have the same reaction? Well, you may ask, okay, and this is the next thing that I want to show you. That is actually, if you look at this time around, conditions are probably, well, conditions will never be the same, because the index, but as what Mark Twain, the market normally rhymes as history repeats itself. So this year we started with the S&P already falling by 8%. This is actually the year-to-date figure. So we, as in our GCP global classes, we warned that the S&P and the market basically is poised for corrections, because it has fallen 10% since the pandemic in March of 2020. So it's gone like 1 year, 11 months without any correction. So this correction is a welcome correction for us, for those of you who have been attending GCP global classes, because we have forewarned you, we have actually told you to prepare a portfolio for this eventuality. And true enough, if we look at the NASDAQ, index, which is comprising the tech stocks, they have fallen like 13% over this period. So give or take, ladies and gentlemen, compared to this period, if it's the first Gulf War, the downside 17%. And what we are now, if you think that this period actually incorporates the uncertainty already built into certain aspect, give or take, okay, there's never an exact science to it. You can see that the market's already, to a certain extent, reflective of this uncertainty. And mind you, ladies and gentlemen, people do, as well as investors, do not like uncertainty, and that's why you are getting this opportunity to possibly be positioning your portfolio for further upside. So as I say, this is actually not investment advice, but just sharing historically what and how this market performed. Hopefully give you a better perspective on is to come. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, is that from the two walls, you can see, where there is uncertainty, the upside prevails, because over a 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month period, you can see the respective rate returns, coming from the down lows of the two conflict, the two walls, you would have generated really good returns. Okay, so if the press, ladies and gentlemen, plays up the story about conflict, potential war, yes, do they? But really, you have to ask yourself deep inside, is this your best chance to buy into the market, taking positions? And that's what we do in our investment classes to prepare you for all this eventuality. So for those of you all who are interested in signing up our classes, our next class is on 19th of March. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we concentrate a lot on technology, because technology stocks like your Facebook, Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, and Google, would probably be in the front line. If any war actually erupts, they will be one of those that we hit the most. To us, essentially, if we look at the FCF, the free cash flows generated by these companies over the decades, as well as the underlying profitability, the scalability of the various businesses, you can see that they are in a stranglehold to continue to lead technology in the next 10 years as what they have done in the last 2 decades, right? So, of course, the other tech stocks that we are concentrating on, like last year we made big money on the chip stocks like NVIDIA, Micron, so what are our topics going ahead for this year? That's what we're going to address in our class. So on top of that, the full class outline is given here, so do go to GCP Global website to actually look at this video. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, hope you actually like it and do subscribe and turn on your notification. Invite a friend to be a subscriber, and then send us an email, gcpglobalsg@gmail.com, and tell us who you actually recommend. Then there's a good chance that you may be able to qualify for a lucky prize by just being our subscriber and enjoying our videos week in, week out. So once again, see you next week, and hopefully, as we pray, leaders of the universe are rational enough to avoid war, so that we can continue peace, happiness to all mankind, and of course, women.